Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Mangesh Dushing and this is the third lecture of gas chromatography. Up to now we have seen what is gas chromatography, the principle of gas chromatography, their classification, instrumentation. Now in this video lecture we will learn gas chromatography, detectors and various types of applications of gas chromatography. First we will start with the gas chromatography detectors. Friends, the detectors that are used in a gas chromatography are the devices whose function is to detect and measure the small amounts of separated components present interrelate from the chromatographic plates. So these are the parts of instruments which detects the small amounts of eluent which is coming from the column and measures its amount of the separated components. Friends, the detector is situated at the exit of the separation column. Some of the detectors responds to all type of samples, all types of compounds which are present into the sample, while some responds to the limited number of substances which is coming from the column. Friends, there are many detectors used in a GLC, that is gas liquid chromatography, but the choice of the detectors depends upon these following factors. There are so many types of detectors. What is our requirement? What we want the information? According to that, we can choose the detectors in a gas chromatography. So choice of detectors, it depends upon these three factors, that is the chemical composition of the sample. So the components which are present into the samples, what is that composition, what there will be, according to that we should use a detector. Then what is the concentration of sample components, so which type of sample components, how much concentration of that sample components, as well as what is the nature of carrier gas used in a mobile phase, used as a mobile phase in a gas chromatography. These are the three factors which decides which detector we have to choose for a proper analysis. The more commonly used detectors are thermal conductivity detectors, that is TCD or cathometer, then flame ionization detectors and electron capture detectors. So there are so many types of detectors, but these are the most commonly used, that is thermal conductivity detector, flame ionization detector, electron capture detector, and these three are included in our syllabus. That's why we need to learn these three detectors. So first we will start with the thermal conductivity detector. So thermal conductivity is a measure of ability of the substance to conduct the heat. This is the principle is used in a thermal conductivity detector. The thermal conductivity is a measure of ability of the substance to conduct the heat. The ability of the substance to conduct the heat. And that ability of the substance to conduct the heat is depends upon what is that substance, what is the composition of that substance, what is the composition of that component. That's why this technique is used for the identification and measurement of the concentration of that components. The principle of the thermal conductivity detector is that the temperature and thus the conductivity of the metal wire through which the current is flowing is dependent upon the thermal conductivity of the gas in which is dipped, and it is device that measures the difference in thermal conductivity detectors between carrier gas and the carrier gas plus sample. So in short, the TCD senses the changes in thermal conductivity of the column eluate and it compares with the reference flow of carrier gas. So as we know that the ability of the substance to conduct a heat, that is the principle for thermal conductivity detector. समजा सेम गॅसेस कॅरियर गॅस आणि कॅरियर गॅस प्लस सॅम्पल गॅस हे जर दोन्ही कॉन्टॅक्टमध्ये आले त्या वायरच्या तर प्रत्येकाची थर्मल हीट कंडक्टिव्हिटी चेंज होते. सो दिस डिफरन्स is measured into thermal conductivity detectors. That is the principle of this thermal conductivity detector, that is TCD. The thermal conductivity of a gas is the function of its composition. What are the components, what is the composition, what are the sample which is present in a gas, depends upon that the thermal conductivity, it depends. I will see the instrument, how that thermal conductivity dictates. We will see the diagram. So this is the general diagram for thermal conductivity detector. It is divided into two parts, two equal parts, two equal circuits. So these are the bridge circuits and these are the wires of thermistor or filaments connected to the Wheatstone bridge. So this actually detects the conductivity. So here is the carrier gas is coming into the contact with this bridge circuit and going into the injector. So carrier gas plus injector. So this is the reference cell. So here is only a carrier gas is in contact with the bridge circuit. While in this part, the column eluent is coming in contact with this bridge circuit and then exist. So what will happen? See here, these are the two equal halves. One is for reference cell, one is for sample cell. In reference cell, only carrier gas coming in contact with the bridge circuit, while in sample cell, carrier gas plus particular component of the sample or mixture is coming in a gaseous form. When pure carrier gas passes over both the reference cell and the sample filaments, then the resistance of wire will be same and the bridge balanced, giving no signal. If both the contents in a reference cell and in sample cell, if only a carrier gas, then the resistance of these filaments to conduct the heat, that will be balanced and there will be no signal. But when the vapors, that is sample components, emerges from the column and appears in the sample channel, the rate of cooling of this sample filament changes and the bridge becomes unbalanced and giving out the balanced signal. So here is the carrier gas and here is carrier gas plus the vapors of sample. Then the circuit becomes unbalanced and that gives out of balance signal. So that appears as a signal into the chromatogram. The extent of this imbalance, that is due to change in resistance, is the measure of concentration of the sample components in that instant. So this extent in imbalance of the signal, out of balance of the signal, or the extent of this change in resistance is a measure of concentration, that is depends upon the concentration of the particular compounds which are present into the column eluent, carrier gas plus the sample gas. The out of balance signal is fed to a recorder and giving a chromatograph. So whatever this out of balance signal, that gives the information to the recorder and recorder gives that information in the form of chromatogram. म्हणजे हा आउट ऑफ बॅलन्स सिग्नल कुठे जातो, रेकॉर्डेडकडे, आणि रेकॉर्डर काय करतो, तुम्हाला क्रोमॅटोग्रामवर तो सिग्नल दाखवतो इन द फॉर्म ऑफ पीक. Now you see the characteristics of the thermal conductivity detectors. It is very simple, accurate and non-destructive. So here is no destruction of any sample material, any gas material. So it just coming in contact with that filament and there will be out of signal. That signal is recorded in the form of peak in chromatogram. That's all. So it is very simple as well as accurate and non-destructive. So there is no destruction of the sample. We can collect at the end that sample. It is not a most sensitive detector but can detect many substances. It can be used both organic and inorganic substances. So it is may not be a most sensitive detectors, whatever the detectors available into the market, but it can detect many types of substances. So many organic, inorganic types of substances that can be detected by this thermal conductivity detectors. That's why this can be a more useful detector. Its response is reproducible. So precision in this case is very high. Its response for the particular component is reproducible. Hydrogen and helium are used as a carrier gas for this detector because the high thermal conductivity as compared to other gases. So in this case, suppose thermal conductivity is used as a detector, then you have to carry out the carrier gas or put the carrier gas as a hydrogen or helium. because if you use this hydrogen and helium gas, this gases has high thermal conductivity and high efficiency, so that the efficiency of thermal conductivity detectors will be high. So these are the 4 characteristics of the thermal conductivity detectors. These are the advantages to use the thermal conductivity detectors, because it can detect many types of organic compounds as well as inorganic substances. Now we'll see the next detector, that is flame ionization detector, that is called as flame FID. Now we'll see the diagram of FID, that is flame ionization detector. It consists of a small hydrogen flame burning in excess of air and surrounded by the electrostatic field. The thermal energy in a hydrogen flame is sufficient to cause a ionization of many molecules. The eluent gas from the column is mixed with the hydrogen. Whatever the eluent gas is coming from the column is mixed with the hydrogen and burned at the tip of the metal jet in an excess of air. The potential is applied to the jet itself as a cathode. So this is a cathode, and the second electrode is located around the flame, that is anode. So this is anode, these are the second electrodes. The burner jet is a negative electrode, and while anode, that is usually a wire or a grid extending into a tip of the flame. The ions produced are collected by these electrodes, and these are called as collector electrodes, and the resulting ion current measured after the amplification. Initially, the combustion of carrier gas, hydrogen and air produces a very few ions, and essentially a constant signal is obtained. While when carbon containing compounds as a sample components along with the carrier gas is entered into the flame, large ionization of the sample molecules occurred, and there is a large increase in electrical conductivity. So here the ions are formed in a flame due to thermal decomposition of the molecules of the sample components. The burner jet is a negative electrode, as I told you, while anode is, these are the collector electrodes are the anodes that are wire or grid extending into the tip of the flame. The ions produced are collected at the electrode. So whatever the ion are collected, these ions are formed due to thermal energy in the hydrogen flame. These ions are produced and collected at the electrode and resulting into the current measured after amplification. When the carbon containing compounds as the sample components along with the carrier gas is entered into the ionization of the sample molecules occurs, and there is a large increase in electrical conductivity giving the electrical signal in the outer circuit. So in this case, the carrier gases are like H2, that is hydrogen, nitrogen and argon are most commonly used. So this is a flame ionization detector. So in short, whatever the sample gas is burned in a hydrogen flame and that forms the ions, and that ion, whatever the percentage of ions that are collected, that are giving a electrical signal, and that electrical signal is directly proportional to the composition of that compound in that flame or eluent which is coming from the column. Now what are the characteristics of the flame ionization detector? It is about 1000 times more sensitive than the thermal conductivity detector. So sensitivity of the FID, flame ionization detector, is around 1000 times more sensitive than the thermal conductivity detector. It is extremely sensitive, which can measure the components in a part per billion, that is ppb concentration range. This much sensitive this flame ionization detector. It is not sensitive to most of the inorganic salts. So this is the limitations. This is not sensitive to the inorganic compounds and water vapors as well as air. What are the thermal conductivity detector? It is sensitive for the organic as well as inorganic compounds. But this is the limitations for the flame ionization detector, is that it is not sensitive to the inorganic substances. In this detector, the sample is destroyed, while the other detectors, physical property of the solid is measured. So this is, in this case, whatever the sample components are getting burned with the hydrogen. So sample is getting destroyed. But in other detectors, sample can be collected and their physical property can be measured. So this is the again one more drawback in the characteristic of flame ionization detector, that is sample component will get destroyed. It is very widely used. The uses of this flame ionization techniques are very high because it is more sensitive for the organic compounds than the other detectors. It is fast, sensitive and responsive to all the organic compounds. So for the organic chemist, this is very good detector. It has a properties like fast, sensitive and very responsive, reproducible signals to all organic compounds. If oxygen is used as a flame support gas instead of air, then hotter flame is produced and many inorganic compounds including metal chelates formed with the organic ligands and can be detected. If we are using oxygen instead of air as a flame support gas, then the temperature of the flame will be very high. In that case, inorganic compounds form the metal chelates with the organic ligands and those can be detected. So whatever the metal chelates means metal ions as well as some organic ligands. So that can be detected by this flame ionization detectors only if we have to use oxygen instead of air, because air contains only 20% oxygen. We have to use 100% oxygen. Now one more detector, that is electron capture detector. The principle of electron capture detector is based on electron absorption by the compounds having affinity for free electron. So this is a very good detector for the organic compounds which contain electronegative atoms. These compounds have a tendency to capture the electron and to form a negative ions. A beta ray source like a foil containing tritium, that is H3 or nickel 63, is used to generate slow electrons by ionization of the carrier gas. So in this case, carrier gas ionization will be done by using tritium or nickel. So they forms a slow electron source. They forms a slow electrons flow. These slow electrons are captured by the anode. These slow electrons are captured by the anode under the fixed potential and they give rise to a steady baseline current. So whatever the electrons are generated by this carrier gas, which are captured by the anode, which has applied a fixed potential, and they give rise to a steady baseline current. So current will be constant. But when the electron capturing sample components emerges from the column, so as soon as the sample is coming with the carrier gas and interacts with the electron, then the negative ions of the sample components will be formed, because suppose organic compounds contain electronegative atoms. So they captures these electrons and forms the electronegative ions. So resulting into the decreasing in electron flow of the detector, and this results into reduction of the current. So if there is no organic substance, only carrier gas is there, then whatever the carrier gas, it generates a slow electrons by the ionization of carrier gas. So whatever the slow electrons which are formed by the ionization of carrier gas are captured by the anode of the electron capture detector. and it is applied with the fixed potential. So they will give rise to a steady baseline of the current. So current will be constant. Whatever the current is generated, that will be constant because of these electrons. But as soon as these components, sample components are coming from the column, what they will happen? They absorb these electrons and form the negative ions. So amount of electrons will get decreased. So what will happen? The result into reduction of current. So current also will get decreased. So this is the working of this electron capture detector. So see here instrumentation. So from here the carrier gas is coming. Suppose there is no sample or no mixture into the carrier gas. So this is only a carrier gas coming into this one. So this is beta emitter, like hydrogen or nickel, like that. Here is a potential applied. This is a cathode and this one is a anode. So these beta emitters ionizes the carrier gas and electrons will generate. Whatever these electrons are negatively charged, that will be absorbed by the anode and forms a current. That current is very steady baseline current because the amount of carrier gas is same, amount of electrons will be same. But as soon as this carrier gas contains a sample compound, organic sample compound or inorganic sample compounds, suppose those are coming in contact with this beta emitter. So what will happen? Whatever these electrons are generated, these electrons are absorbed by the organic sample. The electron compound काय करतो? Absorb करतो आणि त्याचे निगेटिव्ह चार्जचे आयन तयार करतो and these ions will go into the out. तो गॅस आयन्स काय होतात? बाहेर निघून जातात. आता इलेक्ट्रॉन इकडे पोहोचले का? नाही, त्याची अमाऊंट कमी झाली. त्याची अमाऊंट कमी झाली म्हणजे करंट पण कमी होईल. सो व्हॉट एव्हर द अमाऊंट ऑफ करंट इज रिड्यूस्ड, that depends upon the concentration of the sample which is present into the carrier gas. What are the characteristics of the electron capture detector? It is extremely sensitive to the molecules containing electronegative atoms such as halogen, oxygen, nitrogen, but it is not sensitive to the hydrocarbon. So this is the advantage as well as disadvantage of this electron capture detector. It is very good method, extremely sensitive for the electronegative atoms that forms the negatively charged ions, but it is not sensitive to the hydrocarbons because hydrocarbons are not easily giving a negatively charged ions. The nitrogen is used as a carrier gas since it has a lower excitation energy than the argon. So nitrogen is used as a carrier gas in terms of if the electron capture detector is attached to the gas chromatogram. The molecule having electronegative atoms can only capture the electrons and forms ions. So this is the limitations again. That is, the molecules, the organic molecules or inorganic substances having electronegative atoms, that can only capture the electrons and that can only give the response for this electron capture detector. Otherwise, the other molecules like hydrocarbons, they are not forming electronegative atoms. So again, the current will be steady baseline because there is no absorption of electrons. So that will be, so electron capture detector will not be useful over there. It can be used at the temperature up to 350 degrees Celsius. So this is the advantage of this electron capture detector. So it can be used at higher temperature also. The compounds having low electronegative atoms can also be analyzed by preparing their derivatives. So the compounds with low electronegative atoms are there, then we have to convert those organic compounds into their derivatives, another organic compounds from there, by using some reagents. So these derivatives can be detected by this electron capture detector. So in this way we can increase the number of electronegative atoms by forming their derivatives. So we can increase the sensitivity of the electron capture detector for that particular organic substances. समजा आपल्या ऑर्गॅनिक कंपाऊंडमध्ये इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिव्ह ॲटम नसतील तर त्याचे डेरिव्हेटिव्ह तयार करायचे. सो द ऑर्गॅनिक कंपाऊंड विल हॅव मोर इलेक्ट्रोनेगेटिव्ह ॲटम्स सो दॅट can be detected by the electron capture detector. The two electrodes are used in which is the metal coated with the nickel or tritium. In electrode capture detector, two electrodes are used. One is nickel and one. Now we'll see a comparison of all these three detectors and their uses in a one slide. So thermal conductivity detectors, sensitivity is moderate, that can be sensitive for the concentration change, flow of carrier gas and temperature change. The applications to all the organic compounds, all types of inorganic as well as organic compounds. So applications has wide range that can be applicable for many substances, many organic compounds. It has a moderate sensitivity but applications are large. While flame ionization detector, the sensitivity is very high, around 1000 times than this thermal conductivity detector, but it requires a stable flow of carrier gas, less sensitive to other than hydrocarbons and its concentration. Applicable to mostly organic compounds, because organic compounds forms ions and that can be detected by the collector electrode. These are the electron capture detector. So it is also high sensitive for the compounds which are containing electronegative atoms. So its sensitivity is high only if the compound contains electronegative atom. It is very sensitive to the impurities, concentration change and temperature change. It is applicable to the compounds having affinity to the electrons. So this is the use of this electron capture detector. So its applications are more when the organic compounds containing the affinity for the electrons. So these are the most commonly used detectors in gas chromatography. Now we'll see the applications of gas chromatography. The main applications of gas chromatography are the quantitative and qualitative analysis of the liquids, gas and vapors. It has a limited use in solids. If the solids are dissolved into the proper solvent and becomes a vapor form, then we can use a gas chromatography. This is mainly used in organic chemistry, organic compounds. These compounds should vaporize below 300 degrees Celsius. The organic compounds which we had to do the analysis, those compounds should be get vaporized in 300 degrees Celsius up to 300 degrees Celsius, but it should not be decomposed. If they decompose, there will be no use of analysis. First is a qualitative analysis by gas chromatography. For given conditions of flow rate, temperature and column, the retention time or retention volume for a given compound will always be same, as thus TR, that is retention time or retention volume, can be used for the identification of the compounds. So whatever the retention time, the time required to the organic compounds which is coming out from the column, the time is called as retention time. This retention time as well as retention volume are the characteristic property of the particular compound. If the conditions like flow rate, temperature and column are same or constant, then retention time for the particular component is also constant. That's why it can be used for the identification of the particular component or particular compound. So this is the qualitative analysis by gas chromatography. So in this way these are the compounds, and if we plot the graph, that is retention time versus boiling point in degrees Celsius. So this is trichlorosilane, this is silicon tetrachloride, this is methyl trichlorosilane. So in this case, if you plot the graph for the particular compounds, we can identify the boiling points in degrees Celsius. So if you know the boiling point, then we can identify what is the unknown sample is. So first we have to make a plot in a linear line, so we can identify the unknown sample also. Similarly, suppose this is the number of carbon atoms and this is the log of Vr, that is retention volume. If you plot the graph for the some known samples, then that will be the straight line, because log of Vr is directly proportional to the number of carbons. Suppose we are taking an unknown sample, those number of carbons we don't know. Then if you measure the retention volume and if you plot this log of VR spot on that line, then we can find out how many number of carbon atoms in that compound. So in this way we can use this retention time and retention volume for the identification of the unknown sample, unknown compound. The next application is the quantitative analysis by the GC, that is gas chromatography. Under the conditions that the response of detector recorder system is linear with respect to concentration of the solute and factors such as rate of the carrier gas flow, column temperature, etc. are constant, then recorded peak area, peak height in a chromatogram is proportional to the concentration of the sample of the component. So this is the principle of quantitative analysis by gas chromatography. So if the rate of carrier gas flow, column temperature as well as columns are constant, then whatever the peak area or peak height whatever observed into the chromatogram is directly proportional to the concentration of the sample components. So this can be used for the quantitative analysis. So peak area is directly proportional to the concentration of particular components within the sample. So by using the peak area we can calculate the amount of the particular component present into the sample. For that purpose we had to fix the rate of carrier gas flow, column as well as column temperature. The peak area can be calculated by one of the following techniques. So there are the many techniques which can used for measuring the peak area of that peak which is obtained in a chromatogram. So these are the planimetry, geometrical method, integration by weighing, automatic integration, that is digital integrate, then data evaluation, the construction of the calibration curve of peak area versus amount of the solute. So this is the graphical method. So in planimetry, that is tracing of the perimeter of peak. So in this case what we have to do, we have to trace that peak area in a graph paper. So we can measure the peak area of that particular peak, that is called as planimetry. काय करायचं, तो पीक असेल ना तो ग्राफ पेपरवर घ्यायचा आणि तो ट्रेस करायचा पेन्सिलने आणि त्याचा एरिया मोजायचा. तुम्हाला एरिया मोजायचं शाळेत आपण शिकलोच आहोत. हाऊ मेनी स्क्वेअर्स आर देअर. अकॉर्डिंग टू दॅट वी कॅन measure the area of particular peak. That particular area of the peak that can be proportional to the concentration of sample component. So we can measure the concentration of the sample component. Second is the geometrical method. So this is the calculation method, that is height of the peak into width at half height, that is the formula A is equal to H, that is height of the peak, into width of the peak at half height. So that gives you a peak area. So that is the formula to calculate the peak area of the peak. Then the integration by weighing. So this is another one old method. In that case what we have to do, जो क्रोमॅटोग्राम आला आपल्याला त्याचा जो पीक असेल तो पीक असा कात्रीने कापून घ्यायचा, तो कागद. ओके, प्रत्येक कागद असे कापून घ्यायचे, प्रत्येक पीक बेसलाईनपासून तर पीक पूर्णपणे कापायचा, तो पेपर कापायचा आणि त्या पेपरचा वेट घ्यायचा. ते वेट इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द कॉन्सन्ट्रेशन ऑफ सॅम्पल कॉम्पोनंट. दॅट इज कॉल्ड एज इंटिग्रेशन बाय weighing. Weighing the cutout of the chart area of the peak. So in this way we had to cut that peak area paper and we had to weigh that paper. That is next is automatic integration, digital integrator. So these are the now gas chromatograph will give you सध्या गॅस क्रोमॅटोग्राफी इन्स्ट्रुमेंट्स ते सगळं आपल्याला करून देतात ॲटोमॅटिकली. आपल्याला स्क्रीनवर पण दिसतं लॅपटॉपच्या किंवा कॉम्प्युटरच्या. and we can calculate the area by giving the integration to that particular area, particular peak. So this is automatically done by the instrument nowadays. These are the old methods for calculation the peak area. Now we'll see the gas chromatography for the metal chelates. Gas chromatography can be used for the separation and quantitative analysis of metal ions after making their sufficient volatile, thermal stable and neutral metal chelates. For example, these are the ligands like beta diketone ligands, acetyl-acetone, and fluorinated derivatives form the stable volatile chelates with aluminium, beryllium, chromium, and number of other metal ions. It is thus possible to chromatograph a wide range of metals as a beta diketone chelates. So up to now we have seen that the gas chromatography is very useful in terms of organic compounds, but this can be used for measurement of metal ions, metal cations. So for that purpose we have to make their organic chelates with the organic ligands like these beta diketones, acetyl acetones. So that chelates must be very volatile, thermally stable and neutral. So that what will happen, it is possible to make a separation as well as quantitative analysis of the metals. In this way, whatever the chromatograph or gas chromatography instrument is useful for the detection of wide range of metal ions by using their beta diketone chelates. The analysis of drugs, the analysis of steroid drugs used for the athletes can be carried out by the GC. So analysis of steroids. So most of the athletes are doing cheating by using the steroids, so fast energy suppliers. So this can be detected by the gas chromatography. Analysis of foods, so we can analyze the food, proteins, lipids, carbohydrates for the various types of impurities, additives we can find out by this gas chromatography. Environmental studies, the separation of identification of chlorinated pesticides like DDT, BHA, organophosphorus, sulfur components, sulfur compounds can be carried out by this technique. So this can be used for the separations as well as identifications of the chlorinated pesticides, whatever the hazardous pesticides are there that can be detected by this gas chromatography. In research laboratory, this gas chromatography can be used to monitor the column chromatography also. This can be used to check the purity of the substances, whatever the compounds which are synthesized into the laboratory as well as in industry. This gas chromatography can be used for checking for the impurities, what are the types of impurities, what are the impurities present in the pure sample. So whatever the samples or compounds or inorganic substances which are buying from the industry, for that purpose purity checking, this gas chromatography can be useful. Because this is very sophisticated technique, instrument is not much costlier and it requires a very less time, and sample requirement is very less, that is few milligram sample is also sufficient for the analysis. Thank you friends, thank you for the watching.